Yo, so today's the day. I'm finally going to install my coilovers. It's been a long time coming and I've been putting it off for a while, but it's going to happen. I've been in a few cars which have had coilovers installed and the difference is pretty huge between stock and coilover suspension. I will have to get new tyres because mine are absolutely horrendous and won't, be able to utilize the coilovers to its fullest potential. As far as the install goes, again, I think the hardest part will probably be like a seized or rusted bolt somewhere along the way, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So let's get started. Brake hose mounting bolts. There are two of them. We've got the first off from right here, and now we've got to take this one off. I don't know if you can see it, it's back there. Alright, so the two 12mm bolts holding on the brake hose have been removed, and now we are going to remove a flange nut over here and then down around here so that we can remove the fork. That's a 14mm. So this one down here is a 17mm, and we'll crack that again with a breaker bar. Okay, so the second nut and bolt are out, and now we're going to take the fork off. Okay, I'm just going to leave it there like that. Now we'll just pop the hood and undo the bolts holding the strut in from the top. We got a friend here helping out with the install. So now what we've got to do is jack up this so that we can get the two ends to mate. So the drop wasn't as dramatic as we were expecting it to be. I was expecting to have to, use planks of wood and eventually increase the height so that I could actually drive it around because I wanted to see it slammed. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. We've still got about a 3.5 finger gap in the wheel well over there. But we'll do the back and hopefully it'll look a lot nicer and most importantly handle a lot better than it once did. We've jacked up the back of the car and we're going to attack the lower control arms first. What we have to do is switch in Type R lower control arms because the coilovers I got are for a Type R. So they've got the eyelet instead of the fork type connection. So first what we have to do is remove the current lower control arm, and in order to do so there's a bolt here and another one here for the ABS line, both 10mm. So after those are off we can then take the lower control arm off by removing 1, 2, 3 bolts. So let's do that now. Here we go. Okay, we've got the two ABS line bolts off. Now it's a matter of removing the sway bar bolts. Now we're going to use a breaker bar to loosen the 3 bolts. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's tough. Okay, so we've got the 3 bolts out. It should just be a matter of dropping the LCAs out now. That is the VTIR lower control arm out. Let's do the other side, and then we're going to chuck these Type R lower control arms in. Now we're just going to remove the shocks and the struts themselves. So we've got both these bolts on. Easy. There it is. Okay, both shocks are out. There is a slight discrepancy between the 2 heights. It's off by like 2 millimeters tops. So we're going to put them in anyway, and we'll adjust them when I manage to borrow a C-spanner off a mate. Oh shit. Alright, should we chuck the LCAs in? Yeah. With great difficulty, we managed to connect up the lower control arms and the coilovers. Yep, so everything's in. Now it's a matter of torquing everything down with the torque wrench, which I'll get later. The C-spanner's arrived, courtesy of Dion.
'Cause every time we touch, I get this feeling, and every time we kiss.
And now we're ready to put the wheels back on and give it a bit of a test. The back was sitting a little too low, so I had to try and adjust that and increase the height a little bit. And then I ran into the issue of actually undoing the locking collar, which is this 3rd green ring over here. On the other side, I managed to get it off with a hammer and a flathead, and you know, kind of bang it out like that. However, on this side, nothing would get it to budge. So in the end, in order to get this loose, I had to set it on a vice grip and use an extension on the C-spanner, and it came off within like 30 seconds. And I just cleaned off the thread with a wire brush, so there's not too much dirt left on there, and it spins nice and freely now. So I'm going to adjust these. I've adjusted the other side. I'm gonna let it settle and see what it looks like and feels like. And I'll have to do some more adjusting on the front and the back. But I think the hardest part is done, unless the front coilovers also have the same issue as the back ones, in the sense that they're seized. I've got a torque wrench, and I'm just gonna follow the torque specs I found on Club Integra. There we go. Awesome. Done. 40 foot-pounds across subframe damper trailing arm LCA connections, so 40 foot-pounds of torque equals 54 newton meters. Okay, that's 14 mil. That's exactly what we need. So to raise it, we have to spin this that way. Yep. So this is raising the car by a little bit. Let's see. Okay, the locking collar's nice and snug. Hopefully it won't seize up again, but this means I can finally put my tires on and lower it back down. See how it looks? If I don't like it, I reckon I will drop the front a little more, because the gap's still pretty big, so yeah.
Take me away, 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 far away.
This thing is now a proper shopping cart. I've been driving around with the coils in for maybe about a week or two now. The change is just so drastic, going from stock suspension to coilover suspension. Being a light two-door hatchback, the difference is even more so noticeable. It's a completely new car to me now, and I'm in love with it all over again. Okay, so the hardest setting, this was what I tackled first, and it is hard. It absorbs every crack and bump in the road, and it is not forgiving in any sense. The hardest setting is fun, however, it's not suitable for road use given my context. Maybe when I get tires, and if I relocate myself to an area with better roads, it would make more sense, but right now it doesn't. The softest setting. The softest setting tackles speed bumps like a champion. It's so comfy, it's so smooth. It's on par with the stock suspension in my opinion. The softest setting is what I used to go on my road trip. It was about an hour to 2 hours of driving, and it handled all the country roads really nicely. It handled the towns really nicely. It was honestly perfect, and it still kept my car extremely flat through the corners. The thing is though, when you're using the soft setting, you just don't get that excitement and that brutal punishment that you do when you're on the hardest setting. So I've put it right now towards the middle. I'm experiencing the best of both worlds. I get a comfy ride, but it doesn't sacrifice that aggressive feeling you get while you're driving your car. It's still completely flat through all the corners, and I don't lose traction every time I go over a bump or around a roundabout. Now that I've got the coils on, now that my car's lower and my suspension is stiffer, it's my tires that are taking a lot of the load, and they struggle really bad. So in order to utilize these coilovers, I will have to get some proper street performance tires, which I will do in the near future. It's just a marvelous feeling being able to go into a corner with confidence and knowing that your car can handle it with a bit of speed, although my tires are terrible. So all in all, coilovers are one of the most satisfying and dramatic modifications you can make to your car. Final verdict. If you're on the fence about coilovers, get them, that's all I can say. The installation itself, it's actually a lot easier than doing your springs because you don't have to dismantle your shocks. You just take out your stock shocks and put your new coilovers in. Again, I was almost correct when I predicted that the hardest or most difficult part of the install would be a seized nut or bolt. In this case it was a seized locking collar, but that was rectified with the help and aid of a vice grip and a chisel. Sorry, a vice grip and an extender on the C-spanner. So this modification not only increases the performance capabilities of your car significantly, but it also improves its aesthetic. Definitely go for this mod if you're looking at doing it or if you're thinking about it. Although it is a little bit costly compared to lowering springs, the benefits outweigh the cost in my opinion. So yeah, with that being said, thanks for watching guys. Congratulations on making it this far. Stay tuned for the next one and I'll see you then.